In solidarity with the Presbyterian Church, Forest Hill Church accepted the challenge to become a Matthew 25 church. As a Matthew 25 church, Forest Hill pledged to work on building congregational vitality, dismantling structural racism, and eradicating systemic poverty. Forest Hill Church's operating budget supports many programs and ministries with both direct and indirect funding. For example, the 3 programs to be highlighted in this video are recipients of indirect operating funds. Our annual budget provides such programs with free use of space, utilities, advertising, materials, supplies, technical equipment, and employee labor. Your annual financial gifts help support all of the many programs and ministries of our church. Our first presenter is Jeff Smith, Immigration Task Force spokesperson.
I'm really happy to introduce our 3 guests here at Forest Hill Church who have been living here for a year and a half now. This is Isufu Lambani, this is Idrissa Kaima, and this is Emmanuel Sabo. Being a Matthew 25 church means, as far as the Immigration Task Force is concerned, and welcoming the stranger here, it goes back to not only Matthew, who said you need to welcome the stranger to your house, but also to the Old Testament that said the alien living in your country should be treated as native born. So I think that fits in very well with being a Matthew 25 church. Isufu was a truck driver in Burkina Faso, and Idrissa, they had a family store in Burkina Faso, and Emmanuel, he's a mechanic. Idrissa, where are you from?
I'm from Burkina Faso.
And why did you come to the United States?
My country have a land fire.
So the men came here from Burkina Faso over 2 years ago after a terrible massacre in their country. They feared for their lives, and they worked their way from Burkina Faso to South America and all the way up through Central America and into California. And it's for their safety, and because there are so many problems in Burkina Faso, that they're looking for a new life after losing so much in their own country.
My name is Paul Jennings, and I'm the manager of the Abundance Food Pantry. The food pantry, actually, we started with a garden and evolved eventually to do a food pantry because the volume of food we could produce was so much greater. And we worked with the Greater Cleveland Food Bank and other local vendors to continue to enhance how much we could provide. Our food pantry is supported by donations from individuals, from the food bank, from Harvest for Hunger, from United Way, and others to help us afford to provide the food to the community. The volume of people that we're able to serve in the pantry pre-COVID had risen up to about 200 families per week every Tuesday. And then we were providing about 50 pounds of food to each family. And when COVID came along, we increased the amount of food we were providing to about 75 pounds of food for each family. And the number of families rose to approximately 300 per week. Since that time, some relief programs have come along, and the number of families has dropped back down to about 200 again, but we're still at 75 pounds of food per family per week. We have about 30 volunteers in the pantry, and about half of them are from the church or other churches in the area, and the other half are neighborhood volunteers. I'm inspired to keep working on the food pantry because there's certainly a need, and Forest Hills has a reputation for providing service to the community. And this is one way that I can help the community out and keep moving things forward, and I just enjoy doing that so much.
So I'm Elizabeth Shaw, and my colleague is Quentin Smith, and Quentin and I are co-chairs for the Forest Hill Church Black Caucus. The Black Caucus was organized in 2017 by a group of like-minded Black congregants, and we do have a mission statement. We basically focus on, first of all, looking at the transformative power of Christ and the liberating power of Christ, and then we are also focused on affirming and empowering and developing Black congregants and staff.
We have done a number of programs that have been well received by the congregation as a whole, notably the Ron Register Scholarship Fund, our book club, and certainly Racial Equity Buddies, another program that we have. And last but certainly not least, this past year we did the Racial Inequality Reparations, part of the solution, and that was consistent and ongoing from March and continues to this very day. And all of those programs, those four, have been well received by the congregation and endorsed.
Part of what we try to do is develop programs that will help people to learn more about racial equity so that then we can move forward to carrying out actions to make corrections to issues that we see.
The hopes for the year ahead is to actually do the will of the Lord and God. Hopefully we are God's hands in trying to implement greater understanding, greater togetherness, and the sharing of issues. And some of these things are difficult. Change is difficult. Mm-hmm. Understanding sometimes is difficult. But it is important that this occur. Mm-hmm. So our hopes are that our work furthers the kingdom of God here in Forest Hill Church and obviously on earth. That's our hope.
Forest Hill is faithful to its call to activism as a Matthew 25 church. Additionally, a portion of our annual budget supports the work of our Presbyterian Church USA, with annual per capita giving of about $32 per member or $13,000 annually. Forest Hill Church also directly contributes a percentage of its annual budget to Greater Cleveland congregations to help underwrite its important work in our community. Our annual budget also directly funds internal ministries. The church's music ministry, for instance, will soon begin a season of exciting opportunities under the direction of Dr. Chin Ying Tan, the newly designated music director. Your pledges to our operating budget directly fund the education of our family, children, youth, and adults. During COVID restrictions, our Director of Family, Children, and Youth, Amy Wheatley, worked tirelessly to stay in communication with families and children through Zoom educational sessions, home-delivered activity gift bags, and safe in-person outdoor activities on the church property. Our Ministry of Adult Spiritual Growth offers a wide variety of opportunities for learning and growth all year long. In-person, as permitted, and online programs are taught by our gifted co-pastors and skilled volunteers. Your gifts to our annual operating budget help us accomplish these many efforts. At this time, we ask you to make a written pledge to our 2022 operating budget by mailing in a commitment card, registering online at our website, or sending an email. We need and are grateful for every pledge, large and small. This video was created by the Forest Hill Church Stewardship Ministry.